Hello everybody and welcome to the video. If you've been following along with us, we've been building a lab and we've got a lot of different things set up. So today I wanted to take a moment to walk you through the different endpoint configurations that we have applied for Defender for Endpoint. But first, my name is Mark Connolly and I'm a cybersecurity architect for Empyreon, and we help businesses all over the Midwest with their Microsoft 365 and cybersecurity needs. So to get started with endpoints, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over here to security.microsoft.com, and then down here in our settings window, after you get your Defender for Endpoint licenses established, you'll see a little endpoints button right here. And inside of here, you can configure a lot of different advanced features. You can look at your licenses, do auto remediation, and a whole lot of other things. We're EDRs in block mode, tamper protection, user details, threat intelligence connections are always valuable, linking it to cloud apps as well. I'm not a huge fan of Defender's endpoint web content filtering, so I have that disabled, but got most of these other things enabled: Intune connection, telemetry, preview features. Go down here to your licenses and see what all you're licensed for. All right. Set up your notifications here. Auto remediation, this is another big one. So automated investigation and response is if something comes in, it'll just automatically sandbox it, scan it, do an investigation, and send it back to you. And I don't believe I have that set up because I don't have any device groups set up yet. And I don't even have the option for device groups in here. So maybe that's not a P1 feature. There you are. So your indicators, if you have any type of advanced indicators, file hashes, IP addresses, URLs, domains, you can enter them in here as well. If you do choose to do web content filtering, there's an option in here for the different policies that you can select. And then configuration management. Use MDE. There we go. We are going to enable this for all Windows servers, Linux. I don't have Mac yet. All right, so that is the Defender for Endpoint security settings. If we go over to endpoint.microsoft.com, this is the Intune portal. We can go down to Endpoint Security. We'll take a look at some of these profiles that we have. So the first big one is antivirus. So we've got a default profile, and I've created groups to match these two so that it's only scoped to the devices that I want. But we're going to allow all the main scanning locations, full scans on network drives, real-time scanning, UI access, the CPU load factor. That's an important one because doing video recording on this Defender was causing me a little bit of performance issues, so we dropped a little CPU load factor on that. And network protection, scanning parameters, a lot of various things. Basically, the general idea is to have these as cranked up as possible. So these policies meet all of the secure score recommendations, which we'll talk about in a video and down the road. So the other option is disk encryption. Basically, encrypt all the disks. I've got errors that I need to troubleshoot. Yeah, full encryption on USB drives, full encryption on fixed drives. Store the keys in Azure Active Directory. It's a pretty simple policy. I don't mess too much with the firewall stuff. I tend to break things when I do that. But endpoint detection and response is a pretty easy one. It's just like 2 options, I believe, for EDR. Yep, sample sharing and telemetry reporting. So that one's super easy. Attack surface reduction. This is a big one for Defender for Endpoint. Blocking Adobe and unobfuscated scripts and API calls, Office macros, credential stealing. There's a bunch of good stuff in here. You basically turn them all on to block, and then that'll meet most of the secure score recommendations. And then account protection. This is where we're going to apply our Hello for Business policy, or Windows Hello for Business policies. So we're not blocking it, and we're enabling it. This is also the account protection window is also going to be where we do our lapse policy, but I'm actually going to do that in the next video. Okay, so that's all of that. And then there's another set of things, and we'll talk about this more when we get into vulnerability management, but some of the device configurations are actually part of the secure score as well. So if you go in here to your devices and you go to configuration profiles, this is mostly going to be where like the desktop people are creating configurations for the endpoints and how they want it to work. But to a degree, we're going to have cybersecurity configuration profiles in here as well, because there are certain registry keys and things that we want to set to close some loopholes and some vulnerabilities in our organization and reduce the attack surface. So let's take a look at what some of these are. Disabling SMB servers, that's pretty no-brainer. WDigest, IP source routing, basic authentication, Internet Explorer processes, autoplay, that's another one. Unsolicited remote assistance, credential guard, interactive login limits, enumeration of SAM accounts. So a lot of good things. These aren't technically in a security profile, but security should be responsible for this profile at the end of the day. So I just call it MDE configuration, Windows workstation, cyber defaults. Pretty simple. So that's the general idea of how we're locking down workstations. It's pretty cookie cutter, vanilla, out of the box config. It's a good place to get started. Obviously, whatever specific policies and requirements you have in your organization, you would want to adapt these types of controls to fit your unique use case. Can't do the same thing with everything, but if you go through and kind of just configure all of these out of the box, that little cookie cutter way, you're going to be most of the way towards your secure score recommendations. So your secure score should, when you start deploying, you want your secure score just to start high. You don't want to have to start low and then change things over time. If you're going through the big process of switching people from one type of antivirus and one type of user experience for their security software to another one, they know that there's going to be a whole lot of changes involved in that process. So you're ripping the Band-Aid off. You might as well put as many of these security configurations in there. Hopefully it doesn't break anything. If it does, maybe you pull it out into its own unique individual policy, create exceptions as needed. But by and large, if you do that, when you switch over, you will be taking massive steps up in your security posture, which is exactly what we want when we deploy Defender for Endpoint. So I hope this video has been informative for you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. We're going to talk about how to create a lapse profile so that we can do local administrative passwords through Azure AD in Intune. So look forward to seeing you in the next video. Catch you later.